All right, we're gonna look at stomach massage. Stomach massage is one of those exercises that I think can feel like a ton of abdominal work if you do it properly. Oftentimes clients won't feel anything when they're doing it, and part of that is they're not stable enough in the position, or they're just working hip flexors. So we need to first look at where the person is set up. So this is her footwork settings. Let's put your feet up on the bar and put your heels together and your toes apart a little bit more, yeah. And what we want to see is that she can flex her spine, so she's in full spinal flexion, which that looks pretty good. And then we want to have your hands to the outside of the carriage touching. I notice people are holding on by holding and pulling up from underside of the carriage. You're just touching and creating a little bit of support to create more stability through the shoulders. So from here, do you feel lots of hip flexors, or are you comfortable?
I feel tension in my hip.
Yeah, so let's put your feet down and let's lower the foot bar down one notch. So you want to make sure you ask what people feel first. Now we've lowered this down, we've created a little bit less hip flexion. Is that comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would start with her here. She's not going to have as much range of motion with this setup as she would with the bar up higher, but I want her to not be overworking the hip flexors. So you're going to start, this is 2 red springs. See how this feels? You're going to think of like you're pushing your abdominals in, getting slow motion punched in the stomach to push the carriage out. So start to press the carriage out, good, and then bend and come back in. And so one of the things that I occasionally do is help people feel this connection through the lower back. Back up just a tiny bit, yeah, there. So that you can feel, not that the ball is holding her up, but that she's initiating with the lumbar flexion or the lower back flexing, and push back from there, like you're trying to flex back and then come back in, yeah. And she doesn't need this, but it's a good tool, and you'll have to figure out the exact ball for each person. You also can think about stretching the back long. So instead of it being like a short squished shape, that you're trying to make the space in your vertebrae longer, you're trying to curve more as you press out. So you're not sinking into it. Okay. So wherever her head is, as she presses out, I don't want to see her head and her upper body sink down. So press out again, good, and then come back in. So now this is easy-ish because we're going pretty slow and we haven't lowered and lifted the heels, which challenges her stability. So you're gonna press out and then lower your heels under the bar, lift your heels, and then come back in. And so as she does that again, I want her shoulders to stay over her hips, press out. As you lower, don't rock backwards with your torso. Yeah, that was right. So it's the abdominals that are holding you forward and not letting you rock back. And then we start to play around with picking up the pace a little bit. So press out, smooth, lower, and lift, and come in. Good. And then over time, we could move her to have the foot bar up so that she had a little bit more range of motion and it was a little more challenging for her. Good. And then you can relax. Thank you.